Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When I was young, many said I would never succeed because I wasn't the smartest. And you know what I found out over time? They were right. I really wasn't the smartest, but they were completely wrong to think that would stop me from winning. What made the difference in my life wasn't brilliance, it was focus. While others wasted hours watching TV or scrolling through pointless feeds, I used every minute to build something meaningful. Focus is a superpower disguised as simplicity. I believe that true productivity doesn't come from how much you know, but from how much you dedicate yourself to one thing at a time. Instead of splitting myself into 1,000 ideas, I chose one cause: digital commerce. I poured all my energy into it. When someone asks why we grew so fast with so few resources, I say, because we didn't get distracted. The world is full of opportunities, but if you don't focus, none of them flourish. Intelligence may open doors, but it's focus that gets you through. Many people ask me how to produce 10 years' worth of results in just 6 months. And I reply with an even more important question. Are you truly committed to it? Because the secret lies in cutting the unnecessary. When you choose to focus, you eliminate what doesn't add value. For me, productivity is emotional management and personal discipline. And here comes one of the phrases that has guided me. If not now, when? If not me, who? If you don't start now, who will do it for you? If I had waited to be ready, I would never have started Alibaba. We were in a small apartment with no money, no technology, no support. What we had was a clear dream and an obsession to make it happen. I saw time as my most precious ally, so I treated every minute as an investment. That's the true value of focus. It turns scarcity into power. When you invest your attention in the right things, the return is inevitable. Today, I see many intelligent people trapped in indecision. They overthink and underact. They believe they need to learn more before starting. I say the opposite. Start now, learn by doing. Growth mindset, self-awareness, discipline, mental resilience, all of it develops when you act with clarity and direction. And it's right at that moment we discover the difference between those who try and those who transform their destiny. Today, the greatest enemy of productivity isn't lack of time, it's an overload of distractions. I see talented people wasting energy on notifications, meaningless comments, and empty content. It's like trying to run a marathon across a minefield of interruptions. When I began my journey, there were no social networks like today, but there were internal distractions, doubts, fear, anxiety. The difference? I decided to master my own attention. Focus is emotional self-control turned into habit. I often say that an addiction to distraction will be the death of your creative output. And I'm not exaggerating. If you want to do something great, you need to build both an internal and external environment that supports your focus. Productivity only blooms when the mind finds silence. That's why one of the most powerful things I did was learn to say no. Turning down unnecessary invitations, ignoring empty conversations, and protecting my mornings as if they were sacred. The world shouts, but your mission must shout louder. When I look back, I see that my best decision wasn't working more hours, it was working with more intention. I would ask myself a simple question every morning: what will really move me closer to my dreams today? It wasn't about quantity, it was about direction. And that's why, in the peak of digital chaos, I insist. If you want to transform your life, learn to protect your attention as if it were gold, because it is. Your focus shapes your reality. In one of my talks, I said something I still carry with me today. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. And do you know why? Because the dream keeps you focused. When you have a clear vision, you begin to filter what truly matters. Your focus becomes your shield. I could have gotten lost in comparison, rejection, or doubt, but I chose to stay anchored to the vision of where I wanted to go. And every distraction I overcame was a silent victory. The question echoing in the minds of true achievers isn't, how do I do more? But, how do I eliminate what pulls me off track? Self-discipline, mental resilience, gratitude. All of these grow stronger when you begin to protect your attention wisely. Don't wait for the world to make your journey easier. It never will. But you can build your own island of focus in the middle of the chaos. And maybe, just maybe, it's there that you'll finally start producing results that once seemed impossible. Some people believe that productivity is about checking off as many tasks as possible. I disagree. Real productivity is about choosing the right tasks, the ones that bring you closer to your long-term goals. I've seen teams do less, but achieve more, simply because they focused on excellence rather than volume. When I committed to building Alibaba, I stopped chasing everything and started refining one thing: value. Doing less, with precision, always wins. I remember people used to mock me because I wasn't good with technology, but I didn't waste time trying to become a programmer. Instead, I surrounded myself with people who were better at it than me and focused my energy on vision and leadership. That's the difference. Working smarter, not just harder. Your willpower development, your success habits, they don't grow from doing more. They grow when you align your actions with what matters. You don't need 20 half-baked projects. You need one that lights your fire and solves a real problem. Focus on that with everything you've got. Many people jump from idea to idea, thinking they're being productive. But true personal development requires depth. As I often say, if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This is about adjusting your mind, not your goal. Stop chasing quantity and start developing strategy. In my journey, I've seen entrepreneurs burn out chasing scale before they were ready. They thought speed was the key. I thought endurance and consistency were. And I was right. Even in the smallest tasks, I would ask myself, does this help me build something lasting? If the answer was no, I'd walk away. Emotional intelligence is knowing what to say no to and why. There's great freedom in choosing only what makes a difference. You want to produce 10 years of results in 6 months? Then stop wasting your best energy on things that won't matter in 6 days. Choose your battles, sharpen your tools, commit deeply to fewer things, and let them reflect your brilliance. This is where the real transformation begins, and it's usually when you cut the noise that you discover the next secret to mastering your time. High performance isn't luck. It's not talent either. It's habit. Pure, disciplined, consistent habit. When I started building Alibaba, we weren't the fastest or the smartest. What we had was commitment. Every day, we showed up and did the work. No excuses. That's how success is built. Not in loud announcements, but in quiet repetitions. If you want to transform your life, start by transforming your mornings. Daily improvement is where legends are made. One of my personal rules was simple: guard the first hours of the day. I reserved my mornings for the work that really mattered. The thinking, the planning, the conversations that shape the company. If you let others decide how you start your day, they'll decide how you live your life. So I created my rituals. I woke up early, I visualized our goals, and I focused deeply before distractions could reach me. Those rituals became my armor. People often ask me, how did you keep going for 19 years without quitting? The answer is mental resilience and routine. There were hard days, rejections, failures, humiliation, but I didn't negotiate with my habits. When you feel lost or stuck, go back to your basics. Good habits don't just protect your productivity, they protect your self-belief. That's how you keep moving when results are slow. That's how self-discipline becomes your default setting. One of my favorite ways to anchor performance is combining habit with purpose. I wasn't just working to make money. I was working for something bigger. And when your habits are aligned with a mission, you become unstoppable. The repetition doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like devotion. So ask yourself, are your daily actions building the future you want? If not, it's time to redesign your days. Start small, but start deliberately. Maybe it's 30 minutes of deep work each morning. Maybe it's writing down your goals every night. Maybe it's cutting distractions during meals. These small practices compound into massive results. I always believed in the power of life transformation through behavior, not wishes. And once you feel the strength of one good habit, you'll start craving more. Which leads us to the next step, breaking down your dreams into something you can conquer every day. Big goals are exciting, but they can also be terrifying. When I first imagined Alibaba serving millions of people, the idea felt overwhelming. But I learned early that self-improvement begins not with massive leaps, but with small, focused steps. I didn't try to build an empire in a day. I tried to win the morning, then the afternoon, then the day. Success becomes manageable when you break it into micro goals, goals you can actually accomplish today. The mind loves progress. When you set a huge goal and don't feel progress, you feel defeated. That's why I turned every long-term vision into weekly and daily markers. Get 5 customers this week. Improve this 1 page today. Have 1 meaningful team conversation. These small wins built momentum. They weren't dramatic, but they were real. And momentum is everything when you want to achieve the impossible. There's a beautiful power in tracking your progress. I would write things down, draw timelines, and divide large tasks into what I call momentum builders. These weren't glamorous, but they kept me going. Your brain loves completion. So give yourself something to complete. Make it simple, make it specific. That's how you train your mind to keep winning. And over time, those wins turn into empires. Many people think goal setting is only about ambition, but I believe it's about emotional stability. When you're lost, your goals guide you. When you're tired, your micro goals carry you through. They give you something to focus on, something to feel proud of, something to celebrate. And the more you celebrate progress, the more you fuel your drive. Success mindset is built 1 checkbox at a time. If you have a dream so big it scares you, good. That means it's worth it. Now all you need to do is slice it up and take the first piece today. 1 page written, 1 connection made, 1 hour of deep work. That's how I scaled my life, my business, my confidence. And the moment you start doing that consistently, the next step is learning how to defend those goals from distractions with ruthless priority. Speed without direction is just noise. In the early days of Alibaba, we had to work fast. Not just because we were small, but because we had a mountain to climb. But I quickly realized something crucial. Without clarity, speed only multiplies confusion. That's when I learned the power of absolute priority. Every morning I asked myself, if I only accomplish 1 thing today, what must it be? That question changed everything. Most people don't struggle with lack of effort. They struggle with misplaced effort. They say yes to everything, and in the end, produce nothing meaningful. I learned to build filters. If a task didn't serve my core goal, I let it go. If a conversation didn't move the mission forward, I skipped it. My calendar didn't control me, my vision did. That's where focus becomes freedom, when it empowers you to say no. I often tell people, you don't need more time, you need fewer distractions. Imagine your energy like a beam of sunlight. If it's scattered, it warms. But if you focus it, it burns through steel. That's the force of mental clarity and direction. When you make 1 thing your highest priority and protect it with discipline, you unlock your true potential. The rest becomes noise. And noise doesn't build empires. In one of my speeches, I shared something that helped many people rethink success. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. People keep changing their goals, thinking the problem is with the target. It's not. It's with the strategy. Be loyal to your priority, not your distractions. That's how I moved faster than others. Not because I ran harder, but because I ran straighter. If you want fast results, stop asking what's urgent. Start asking what's essential. Then give that one thing the best of your day. That's not just time management, it's self-awareness in action. And once you taste the power of full alignment, you'll want more of it. Which brings us to one of the most powerful tools I ever used. A rule that shaped my mornings and multiplied my outcomes beyond anything I expected. If you want to change your future, you have to protect your peak energy. That's why I started applying what I now call the 90-minute rule. It's simple and powerful. For the next 30 days, reserve the first 90 minutes of your workday for your most important priority. Nothing else. No emails, no messages, no meetings. Just deep, intentional focus. Those 90 minutes became the engine of my transformation. People often overestimate what they can do in a week, but underestimate what focused time can do in a month. By protecting those first hours, I was using my best energy for the work that really moved us forward. I didn't react to the day, I designed it. This rule taught me that self-discipline is a choice you make before the chaos begins, and that choice compounds every single morning. Some of the most impactful decisions at Alibaba were made in those early hours of focus. No interruptions, no noise, just me, a notebook, and the mission. When you give your brain space to think, something magical happens. You start producing insight instead of just information. That's the real difference between productivity and being busy. Busy people react. Productive people plan and execute. I like to compare the 90-minute rule to an investment. You don't wait until the end of the day to grow your most important seed. You water it first. That's how your success habits grow strong roots. Whether you're a student, entrepreneur, or artist, this technique works because it honors the rhythm of your brain. Don't let others steal your mornings. They are your foundation. And once you've experienced what focused, uninterrupted work feels like, it becomes addictive. That level of mental performance creates confidence, and confidence drives momentum. But to fully access this level of clarity, sometimes you have to disconnect from the outside world completely. That's when we enter the next zone of performance, something I call deep work. To reach peak productivity, you have to disconnect completely. I often took entire days away from devices to dive into my most important ideas. During those moments, I found clarity that I couldn't access in the noise of daily demands. This wasn't just a productivity hack, it was a mindset. Deep work is about protecting your mental space like a treasure, because what you build there will shape your future. In a world addicted to multitasking, choosing single-task focus is revolutionary. I saw people around me trying to do 10 things at once and getting nowhere. I chose to go deep instead. One project, one purpose, one train of thought. That's where I created my most powerful strategies. And that's why I say, when you reduce noise, you increase results. Focus breeds excellence. I built rituals around this. A quiet room, no phone, just thinking, reading, writing. I'd ask myself, what's the real problem I'm solving? That question took me layers deeper than most people are willing to go. That's what self-awareness gives you. Clarity of direction. You stop reacting and start creating. And creation requires silence. In one of my interviews, I said something that still guides many young entrepreneurs. The future is now. The way you use the tools at your disposal determines where you'll go. And I meant every word. You have access to more knowledge than any generation before you. But that only matters if you stop scrolling and start building. Deep work is the bridge between knowing and doing. What I discovered during those disconnected hours wasn't just better ideas. I discovered myself, my drive, my values, my vision. When you silence the world, your inner voice becomes louder, and that voice will always guide you toward what really matters. Which brings us to a powerful factor that amplifies or destroys your productivity: the people around you. The people around you are either fuel or fire. Early in my journey, I noticed something powerful. My energy changed depending on who I spent time with. When I surrounded myself with dreamers, doers, and problem solvers, I felt unstoppable. But when I stayed around complainers or cynics, I felt stuck. Productivity is contagious, and so is mediocrity. Your circle shapes your results. Science confirms what I saw in real life. Your behavior mirrors the people closest to you. If you want to grow, get around those who are growing. I made it a point to build my team not just with talented people, but with people who believed in possibility. People who weren't afraid to fail, who weren't afraid to work hard, who weren't afraid to care. That culture of belief became our engine. One of the most powerful things I learned was this: protect your energy like you protect your money. Don't let just anyone into your head. I kept my distance from those who always pointed out problems but never offered solutions. Negativity is a virus. It spreads faster than vision. If you want to build something big, your environment must support your self-discipline, motivation, and growth mindset. In many of my speeches, I reminded people, when I started Alibaba, many thought I was crazy. We had no money, no connections, and no real chance, at least from the outside. But I built a team that believed we could change the world, and that belief was enough. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need the right few who see your potential, even when it's invisible to the world. So ask yourself, are the people around you pulling you forward or dragging you down? Are they feeding your focus or distracting your vision? Choose carefully, because once you align your inner drive with the right external support, something beautiful happens. You become free to focus only on what matters most. And that's when you learn the art of delegation, not just to save time, but to preserve your powers. You can't build something big by doing everything yourself. One of the most liberating lessons I ever learned was the art of delegation. In the beginning, I tried to handle it all: strategy, speaking, team management, even customer emails. But I quickly realized being busy doesn't equal being productive. If I kept doing it all, I'd end up being the bottleneck of my own dreams. Delegation isn't about dumping tasks on others. It's about trusting your team with responsibility and giving them space to grow. When I started sharing my load, not only did I free up my time, but I empowered others to step into their genius. That's when real leadership happens. You stop controlling and you start multiplying. Empowerment is the secret weapon of scale. Most people avoid delegation because they fear things won't be done their way. I used to think like that too. But then I asked myself, what's more important, perfection or progress? The truth is, things don't have to be perfect to move forward. They need to be consistent, aligned, and evolving. Once I embraced that mindset, my time management and energy exploded with new possibilities. One thing I always told my team was this: if you want to grow, I must let go. That mindset created leaders within Alibaba, not just employees. And I made sure to focus my energy only on the few things that truly move the company: vision, values, and big decisions. Everything else, delegated. That was the difference between being overwhelmed and being effective. So if you're feeling stretched thin, take a hard look at your calendar. Are you working on your strengths or drowning in details? The more you focus on what only you can do, the more powerful your impact becomes. And the less clutter you carry, the more clarity you gain to execute your high-performance routine like a machine. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to go faster, you need to stop stopping. When people ask me how I kept my momentum during the toughest years at Alibaba, I told them the truth. I had a routine that protected my energy and my mind. Every day wasn't perfect, but I showed up, over and over again. Self-discipline isn't about motivation, it's about structure. My routine wasn't complicated. I began the day with clarity. I avoided my phone. I focused on my number one task. I checked in with my team and ended the day reviewing what worked. Those small steps compounded over time into a rhythm I could trust. Productivity tips come and go, but routines are your anchor. They keep you stable when emotions try to derail you. People often look for secret formulas, but I tell them, build your day and it will build your future. If you let the world design your schedule, you'll live in reaction. But if you design it, you'll lead with purpose. My success habits were born out of daily discipline, not from a special event or sudden burst of inspiration. Every transformation begins with a single repeated behavior. There were moments when it was tempting to break the routine, after long flights, stressful meetings, or personal doubts. But I stuck to it. Why? Because I knew it was my foundation. The stronger your structure, the lighter your mind. You free yourself to think, to create, to solve. Mental resilience grows when you keep your promises to yourself. That's how your routine becomes your armor. And when you've built this foundation, you can begin to refine it even further. That's when you simplify. That's when you cut out the fluff. That's when you discover the power of working like a minimalist, with fewer distractions, clearer intentions, and maximum impact. Complexity is the enemy of execution. I learned that the hard way. In the early years of Alibaba, we had too many meetings, too many tools, too many layers, and it slowed us down. That's when I discovered the power of minimalism. The fewer things I focused on, the faster we moved. When you clear the clutter, your clarity explodes. Productivity begins with simplicity. Minimalism at work doesn't mean doing less. It means doing only what matters. I started asking better questions. What's truly necessary? What's moving us forward? If something didn't pass that test, it was cut. We simplified our processes. We trimmed our priorities. And with fewer distractions, we started making decisions with confidence and speed. When you work with focus and intention, your team feels it. They stop guessing what's important. They align. And alignment creates momentum. One of my biggest lessons as a leader was realizing that a clear path is better than a wide one. The narrower we made our vision, the stronger we became. Minimalism gave us that focus. This isn't just about productivity, it's about peace of mind. When your workspace is clean, your agenda is tight, and your priorities are few, your self-awareness deepens. You stop chasing noise. You start creating impact. Minimalism allows you to invest deeply, not thinly, into what matters most. It frees your energy for breakthroughs. Once I saw the results of this approach, I never went back. We became leaner, faster, more powerful, and I became calmer, more present, more creative. When you eliminate the excess, you elevate your essence. And that gives you space to unlock new levels of efficiency, like mastering mental shortcuts that speed up your execution and eliminate procrastination once and for all. Your brain is your greatest asset, but only if you train it. I wasn't born productive. I learned how to program my mind to work with me, not against me. When I felt the urge to procrastinate, I didn't fight it with guilt. I fought it with strategy. I used small mental shifts, things I call hacks, to trick my brain into action. These became the building blocks of my self-discipline. One of my favorite hacks is the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. It stops mental buildup and builds momentum. Another is the starting ritual. Before a major task, I play the same song, sit in the same chair, and write the same question. What will I accomplish in the next 30 minutes? These simple rituals condition your brain for performance. Another powerful mindset is progress over perfection. Most people freeze because they want to do something flawlessly. But I reminded myself daily, done is better than perfect. Action creates clarity. And once you're moving, it's easier to keep going. That's why consistency beats brilliance. Not once, every time. The brain loves progress, even if it's small. One mental shift that helped me immensely was celebrating micro wins. After finishing a deep task, I would stand up, smile, or write a simple done on paper. It seems silly, but it rewired my brain to love completion. And the more you reward consistency, the more consistent you become. This is the power of positive thinking, daily improvement, and willpower development in real time. You don't need more hours. You need better psychology. Most procrastination is a symptom of fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of effort. But once you reframe action as identity, I'm the type of person who finishes what I start, everything changes. And that mental energy becomes the fuel for skill growth, the kind you'll need in the next phase of your transformation. Learning is only half the battle. The real power comes when you apply. When I was building Alibaba, I didn't have time to master every subject before moving. I had to learn quickly and use what I learned immediately. That's the secret of continuous learning. It's not about collecting knowledge. It's about using it to shift your results. Self-belief grows every time you take action on what you just learned. I call this skill scaling. Take one new concept, test it fast, and scale it if it works. Whether it was leadership, negotiation, or understanding e-commerce, I learned by doing. My mentors weren't always books or teachers. Often, they were problems. Problems forced me to grow, and the faster I solved them, the faster I leveled up. That's how you accelerate your personal development. One mindset that helped me: treat every failure as feedback. If something didn't work, I didn't label it as a mistake. I asked, what did I just learn? That's how I turned setbacks into stepping stones. And every step forward made the next one faster. Speed comes from reducing fear. You can't be afraid of learning in public. You can't fear imperfection. I always told my team, learning is the new working. If you want to earn more, impact more, lead more, then learn faster and apply sharper. This is the mindset of champions. Growth mindset is not just about knowing new things. It's about evolving in real time. Read, watch, practice, refine, repeat. That's the cycle of mastery. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You need the courage to start applying what you already know. And when you do that long enough, your knowledge turns into wisdom, the kind of wisdom that shapes ideas into impact. And now, speaking of impact, let's talk about how to bring your best ideas to life in a way that changes your world, and someone else's too. Ideas are everywhere, but execution is rare. I've met so many brilliant people with dreams, with strategies, with notebooks full of plans, but no action. And that's the gap that keeps most people from transformation. If you want an extraordinary life, ideas are not enough. You must execute. That's why I've always believed in turning thoughts into results. Without movement, there's no momentum. Many people wait until they feel ready. I didn't. I acted while I was still unsure. When we launched Alibaba, we had no guarantees, only vision and action. And that's all we needed. Execution taught us what planning couldn't. Progress gave us confidence. And every small step we took built a foundation stronger than any theory. Action is clarity in motion. To bring your ideas to life, start with the smallest version possible. Test, adjust, expand. Don't get stuck perfecting in your head. Move your feet. When I had a new concept, I didn't present it to a crowd. I shared it with one person. If it helped them, I knew I had something worth building. This is the essence of empowerment and life transformation, turning creativity into contribution. One of the greatest things about action is that it rewires your brain. When you take an idea and give it form, in words, in products, in services, your self-awareness and confidence explode. You start trusting yourself. You become someone who doesn't just dream, you deliver. And that identity shift changes everything. That's the mindset of leaders, builders, and creators. So whatever's been living in your mind, that book, that business, that bold vision, bring it to life. Because nothing will make you grow faster than turning thoughts into things. And when you combine that with the self-discipline, motivation, and habits we've built together here, you become unstoppable. Now let's bring all this to a powerful close with a reflection that will stay with you long after the screen goes dark.
In a world where the speed of information is overwhelming and digital distractions are constant, maintaining focus has become a monumental challenge. Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, shared profound insights on how focus can be more valuable than raw intelligence. He emphasized that in a hyper-connected age, many waste precious hours on purposeless entertainment, neglecting opportunities for personal and professional growth. Ma believes that to achieve extraordinary results, it is essential to abandon the ordinary and dedicate oneself deeply to the few things that truly make a difference. We live in a time when our attention is constantly fragmented by notifications, social media, and trivial commitments. Jack Ma highlighted that this addiction to distractions can be fatal to creative output. By reducing distractions, we can channel our energy toward what truly matters. He asks, if not now, when? If not me, who? This powerful question reminds us of the importance of acting immediately and taking responsibility for our own destiny. For Ma, productivity is not about doing more, but about doing better. He advises focusing on tasks that truly drive results, working with passion on a few meaningful projects rather than trying to embrace the world. Quality must always surpass quantity. Moreover, Ma emphasizes that high performance is a habit built over time. Creating rituals that support focus and productivity, such as reserving the first hours of the day for what matters most, can lead to major long-term transformations. Jack Ma also suggests breaking down massive goals into smaller daily achievements. By dividing ambitious goals into micro-goals, the path becomes more manageable and less intimidating. He introduces the 90-minute rule. For 30 days, dedicate the first 90 minutes of your workday to your most important priority. This ensures that your best energy is directed toward what can truly change your future. Ma reinforces that to achieve maximum productivity, disconnection is essential. On certain days, he avoids devices and isolates himself to work on his most important ideas, allowing his mind to enter a state of deep concentration, where the most creative and effective ideas emerge. You've just discovered techniques that most people spend their entire lives chasing, and now they're in your hands. But let me ask you something. What will you do with them? Will they become another note lost in your phone? Or will they become the fuel that changes the next 6 months of your life? Because what we've built here isn't theory. It's a blueprint for transformation, and it only works if you move. Think about it. How much longer are you willing to wait for results you could have already started creating? Focus, habits, deep work, execution. These are no longer secrets. They're strategies tested by fire, lived through my own journey at Alibaba, and now shared with you. So the question is, which part are you going to apply first? Will you start with the 90-minute rule? Will you finally eliminate the distractions stealing your best energy? Or maybe today's the day you break your giant dream into micro goals and take action like never before. Don't be passive with this knowledge. Be aggressive. Own it. Use it. Live it. Drop in the comments. What part of this hit you the hardest? The secret behind scaling skills? Or did you finally realize that your circle might be costing you your future? I want to know what sparked something inside you. And here's the truth. This video won't change your life. You will. Come back to this whenever you lose direction. Let it be your compass. And if you want to keep evolving, you need to stay connected. Hit that subscribe button now, because if you don't, this video might disappear into the algorithm and you may never find your way back here. Turn on the notifications so the journey doesn't stop here. And if you're hungry for more, and I know you are, then don't stop now. Your next step is waiting. Watch the next video, Avoid these 7 bad habits if you want to become rich, Jack Ma's advice. Trust me, it might just unlock the piece you didn't even know you were missing.